presentation. Okay, everyone, I'd like to call a meeting of the Economic Development Committee to order. Okay. Call the Economic Development Committee meeting to order March 2nd, 2017. First, courtesy of the floor. Is there anyone? Seeing no one, we'll move right on to Michael Starshik, the Executive Director, with the annual report of Discover Lehigh Valley.
Tim told me he was going to do this outstanding introduction, song and dance and everything.
You're outstanding in your own.
Oh, yeah. I'm outstanding in a field.
Your field.
Thank you for...
Mike, you need no introduction.
Yeah. I don't know if that's good or bad.
It is good.
Yeah, it precedes me, yeah. Thanks for having us again. We're pleased to be here. I'm going to be reasonably brief. I'm going to let Kim do the heavy lifting on what's going on and where we're headed. But nearly 7 years ago, when we became Discover Lehigh Valley, we discovered that we were being discovered. And I'm going to use discovered a lot. We're getting with that very strongly. There was a new vibrancy around Lehigh Valley. Our name and its call to action were very well received and are continuing to serve us well. Our brand has meaning to visitors, but it has also touched Lehigh Valley residents. People are feeling more positive about Lehigh Valley, and when this happens, residents become ambassadors for Lehigh Valley. Their word of mouth brings relatives, friends, as visitors, and new residents to Lehigh Valley. That's important to keep in mind when 49% of overnight trips to Pennsylvania are visiting friends and relatives. That's a huge number, and Pennsylvania is one of the strongest states in visiting friends and relatives. And 36% are day trips. So that's also another reason that it fits in with that visiting friends and relatives. We believe that our efforts have moved the needle, and the numbers show that to be the case, but we can't stand still. This evening, you'll see the next evolution of that brand and the direction in which we are headed. But first, some numbers. In 2014, which is the last year for which we have numbers, and we're projecting that in 2015, we're going to see more than $2 billion in visitor spending. The 2014 number, which was 1.976, was a 3.7% increase over the previous year and represents the highest percentage increase of any region in Pennsylvania. We're very proud of that. For another year, we were the highest percentage of spending in recreation, in the recreation category. And that's a big category. It includes everything from the casino to outdoor, to amusement parks, to all of those things are included in recreation. But we had the highest percentage in the state by far. We were 26.3%. And we had the lowest percentage on transportation, which means people spent less getting to us and getting around when they're here. And this is for 2014, before any of the stuff on Hamilton Street began, which was 2015. So we know in 2000, we're confident that we see the 2015 numbers hopefully shortly, that will be well over $2 billion in visitor spending. We saw in 2016, we saw hotel occupancy rates at their highest level since pre 9/11, and that rate was 69.6% for the valley. Compare that with a Pennsylvania rate of 60.4% and a national rate of 65.5%. We're doing very well, and we broke the 1.5 million room mark for the first time ever, valley-wide. As a marketing and economic development organization, we're proud of the success we've achieved. Lehigh Valley has incredible assets, and there's been a great deal more invested in tourism in recent years. It's a great time to be involved in this industry here. We're looking forward to new visitor amenities, new residential and new corporate developments and renovations taking place. Financially, last year, which we're in a fiscal year, so it was through June 30. Last year was a good one for Discover Lehigh Valley. Near the end of our last fiscal year, knowing that we'd be undertaking the rebranding effort, we were a little bit frugal with our dollars, and as a result, the surplus that we had at the end of last year after some adjustment for reserves was carried over to help implement the branding that we entered into that you'll be hearing Kim talk about. In your packets that I left at your desk is our 2017 Official Visitors Guide and the 2015-16 Annual Report for your review. And for those of you on the phone, it's at your place here, so I couldn't deliver it to where you are, wherever that may be. Last November, the Discover Lehigh Valley Board of Directors adopted a strategic plan for 2017 through 2019. The work began on the plan more than a year ago. 3 education sessions for board members were held at our November 15, January 16, and March of 16 board meetings, leading toward an April 16 board retreat. Work on the plan was completed in late October, and the board approved it in November. The plan includes 5 strategic initiatives: improve the current visitor experience and visitor satisfaction, maximize engagement with visitors before, during, and after the visit, develop an expanded visitor experience in the region, maximize brand awareness and use among locals in the region and strengthen its importance in the local community, and maximize organizational strength. We look forward to implementing the plan and using it to guide our decision-making over the next few years. Discover Lehigh Valley has some work to do. You don't become new at all at once, but this region is here to be noticed. It has the character, charm, and passion to really lift your spirits. I'm now turning things over to Kim Lilly, Discover Lehigh Valley's Executive Vice President for Sales and Marketing, to fill you in on the specifics of that. Kim?
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Well, from a marketing perspective, I can tell you that we're off to a very busy and productive fiscal year. Our social media following has exceeded 150,000 fans, which we're very proud of. Our destination marketing organization ranked number 2 in PA among our peers on Instagram as far as followers are concerned, so that was another kudos for us. We're currently undertaking a total redesign and consolidation of our websites for a much better user experience, and we're thinking mobilely first because that's what our statistics are showing us, so we're building that way first. In July, we signed on with the new agencies to help guide us through our branding strategies and efforts. I'm going to share some of that with you now. So if you look at the top of the screen is our old logo, and on the bottom is our newer logo. As we reviewed our brand, we felt it was time for some changes, so we modified that logo to reflect the energy and excitement of the region. They gave our play button a more modern look that conveys motion, action, and most importantly, forward momentum, along with offering us several updated color palettes to utilize on a year-round basis. The font was contrasted with a distressed vintage-looking style to convey the proud heritage and history of the region that we have. In conjunction with that new look and feel of the logo, the agencies developed a campaign, Lift Your Spirits. Hopefully some of you have seen it out there or heard of it. We felt these words could be used in a multitude of ways, from lifting spirits at the holiday season on a carriage ride on Main Street, to the sounds of a Martin guitar being strung, to toasting of glasses with ales and spirits throughout the region. In the sharing age that we live in today, we created a hashtag for the campaign, and we encouraged our followers and partners to use it whenever possible. The hashtag is LiftYourSpiritsDLV, and it launched October 1st, and currently we have about 1,700 photos that have been posted already to date, which we think is a great start to the campaign as well. So our new look and marketing efforts kicked off in September with a campaign that ran through December for the fall and holidays. We took a different approach than we normally would have, where we started inside and we really marketing locally to try to build as much brand awareness with the consumers that are here, helping us spread the word of Lehigh Valley in itself. The more people that are talking and sharing the great things that are happening in the region, the better, so that's the approach that we took. Typically, we're marketing outside the region to bring people in, and that's in our second iteration, which started in January, and you see some of that creative down the road here. So some of the tactics that we took on locally were outdoor billboards. Here's some creative examples. So in this one, we focused on Martin Guitar, ale, and distilleries. Again, with Lift Your Spirits, Discover Lehigh Valley. Here we're working on covered bridges, pumpkin patches, Crayola, and the fall foliage as a whole. Again, Lift Your Spirits, Discover Lehigh Valley. And during the holiday season, we took on making the holiday season bright with carriage rides on Main Street. We also did some radio, some local and regional spots. On KYW, we actually had a late buy on KYW, and we were able to focus on the ski season because it was they were open in time. So we gave a little plug for the ski areas in the region. And on B104, which is a local station, we focused on that hashtag campaign, the Lift Your Spirits DLB. We also took some creative at the airport, right down in the TSA checkpoint area. And that'll run for actually about another 5 months or so. So we have a longer buy on this one. We also took some ads out in some of the lifestyle magazines in the region, Lehigh Valley Style in particular. Our first ad ran in November with 18 automails, 114,730 handmade guitars, and one festival devoted entirely to bacon was the ad creative on it. We also, in November, they ran a brewer's guide insert, and we took an ad in that as well with our Handcrafted Here campaign. And in December, we ran with a Make Your Season Bright, again, focusing on the holidays in Lehigh Valley. We also did display, search, and social advertising. Google display ads, again, we were carrying over the holiday theme and Handcrafted Here for the most part with ales and the music scene that was going on. Twitter, we did some advertising through Twitter. This one is focusing on Bacon Fest again. Everything is better with bacon. Don't miss PA Bacon Fest in downtown Easton, November 5th through 6th. Lift Your Spirits, DLB. So again, we're really encouraging people to use that hashtag whenever possible. We also utilized Instagram. Instagram, we have a great following. It's one of our #1 growing social media channels for us right now. And again, encouraging people to use that hashtag. We also utilize Facebook. That's one of our largest followings. We probably have about 125,000 people on Facebook that are following us currently. So this again was focusing on fall foliage, and we also took on some Christmas season ads as well. We also utilized Snapchat for the first time. This was used for Bacon Fest. It was geo-filtered to the exact location, footprint of where Bacon Fest was, and it allowed people to take their pictures with that bottom portion, what you see on the screen there, to Lift Your Spirits, Discover Lehigh Valley, and the iconic structures on the bottom. So they could take their picture. It's being sent out to their friends. They're sharing those things, so getting the word out that way through Snapchat. So performance for that fall holiday campaign, we thought did very well. We had over 202,000 website sessions, 186,000 website users, 471,000 web page views. We were delivered 19 plus million impressions and 25,000 link clicks back for this campaign. So we were pretty excited about that. But of course, it's just not about that side of it. We also did some public relations efforts in conjunction with it. Our outreach was across 7 media markets: Philly, Harrisburg, Scranton, DC, Baltimore, New York, and on a national level as well. We got some great key placements: USA Today, MSN Travel, New Jersey Family, The Sentinel, Baltimore Sun, and of course we had the Morning Call. We had Mike featured in the Morning Call. And we also had Mike featured on 69 News as well. Your picture's not there, I know. Sorry, we couldn't capture you with both. We also were featured in Lehigh Valley Business and within Lehigh Valley Economic Development Corporation's newsletters. So hits by the numbers for PR. This was from July, actually, through February. We had over 102 million for circulation viewership, 77 placements, almost 5 million impressions with an ad value of 4.3 million, which we felt, again, was pretty good. Our winter creative, we took a focus on ski and romance offerings in Lehigh Valley. A lot of this campaign was digital, most of it was digital, and it was basically all done outside the region with very little done here. So we're really trying to entice people to come into the region, stay overnight, ski and stay packages, and some of the different packages that are available throughout the months of January and February for romance. We also did some e-newsletter advertising with the Washingtonian. We were at a consumer travel show in January, and we piggybacked that with following up to that market with focusing on things to do in our region in the Washingtonian. So with that, I'm going to try to escape here and show you a short video of some of how our partners feel about our Lift Your Spirits campaign. If I can get this to work.
We actually just fell in love with this place. We fell in love with the geography. We fell in love with we fell in love with the seasons and just everything that it has to offer. The Lehigh Valley is special because you've got these wonderful places like fertile farmlands and agricultural places. You've got the Appalachian Trail. You've got wonderful trout streams and things like that, and then you can be at the sands in Bethlehem in 20 minutes. So it just felt natural for us. It feels like home.
We've seen that people call us a hidden gem, yes, because art lovers from all over the country, when they visit the Lehigh Valley, will come in and not knowing what to expect when they're leaving, then they really give us some good feedback about what a good experience they had.
Here in historic Moravian Bethlehem, you can experience and visit all the sites of 1700s Bethlehem. What a wonderful way to lift your spirits here in Lehigh Valley.
Good Shepherd Rehabilitation Network is an international destination for recovery. We use innovative rehabilitation technologies and hands-on expertise to change lives and recover function.
From Zydeco to rock and roll, from jewelry making to hot glass blowing, Arts Quest, the Banana Factory in Steel Stacks, offers 11 festivals, 2,500 camps, classes, and concerts.
Music lifts a person's spirits because music makes everyone feel good. If you're feeling down, as soon as you hear that tune or you're playing that tune on your Martin, your spirits are immediately lifted.
If you walk into this facility and you see the colors and you smell the crayons and you hear the kids laughing, I think it's impossible for your spirits not to be lifted immediately, because the second you walk in, if you're a big kid or you're a little kid, you're having fun and you're playing.
Together we can lift your spirits and discover Lehigh Valley. Cheers.
Time on the video was just quite speed too, so sorry for that. Technology.
Great.
Any questions?
Okay.
For either of us?
Very nice presentation. Thank you,
Thanks.
Mr. Phillips.
Did you guys take an effort partner up with the Nat Geo effort that's going on? I mean, I'm excited what you guys are doing, and I'm excited, our Brian Cope is really taking a real leadership on that. So I just love to see that matchup, because I'm excited about Nat Geo. That covers an area of the Northampton County that we have.
Guide as well.
They're in Visitor Guide,
So,
yeah.
we are partnered with them.
Good.
Mm-hmm. And we're actually leading a lot of the charge as far as the e-newsletters that are being sent out,
Yeah.
our offices, and some of the social media for them as well.
Right. Yes. Plus, I think one of the other things that we had Brian come in and speak with our board about Nat Geo, so that our board was educated as well. So I think that was
thanks, Mike.
very important. Yeah.
Great. Mr.
Yeah, a couple things. State budget recently came out, the governor's proposal. How does that affect your budget and tourism in the state?
It doesn't affect our budget. It doesn't affect our budget at all. The proposed budget is, the line item is 10.1 million. 6.1 million of that is for marketing the Commonwealth, which they've not been spending that much. That's about 3 times what their budget currently is. Pennsylvania's lost significant market share, about 16.9% market share over the last 5 years. And most of that we've lost to New York. You know, for those of you who watch any television, you see the I Love New York ads all over the place, and that's where our market share has been going, because they're spending somewhere between $50 and $60 million.
Yeah, I see the New York business ads all the time.
That's 10 times what we'll be spending. So, yeah, what happens is we're growing in spite of the fact that the Lehigh Valley is growing in spite of the fact that Pennsylvania is not spending.
Then my other questions have to do with facilities. At some point, the Sands had indicated, or I read somewhere, that they were going to invest in convention space to add to their offerings. Have you been in touch with them? Or is there any update, or have they made any?
They've decided to expand their table gaming operation before they do anything else.
I guess that makes more money than a convention space. The other question I had, the other issue we've always had in the Lehigh Valley is sports field, youth sports field specifically. Is that still a problem that you see?
It's still a challenge. In fact, we're actually going out and meeting with townships to talk to them about what they're doing in terms of future planning for sports facilities. But if Northampton County would like to have a conversation about investing more in sports facilities, we'd be happy to have that conversation.
Okay. And then the last one I had is one of the issues that's come up before us is the impact of Airbnb type of what is your sense of the industry as to the taxation question when it comes to the Airbnb and the hotel tax? I know some places are looking at collecting it, some are not, so I'm just wondering what do you see in the industry?
What's happening in the industry is a move for individual counties to have contracts directly with Airbnb. In fact, we've been working on that in both Lehigh. We've actually had conversations with your folks here about that, and they have copies of the existing contracts that are in, I think it's Lackawanna and Butler are the 2 counties that have signed agreements so far with Airbnb in which they would collect both the state and the local hotel occupancy tax on whatever is paid to that for that Airbnb customer by that Airbnb customer.
Okay, so there are other counties currently doing it, and we have a template, and that's something we're looking at?
Yes.
I would hope we follow up. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I want to say something about what was said about the Sands, and we have to realize that the Sands has given us millions of dollars, and their further development is, I would say, they're watching what happens with how the state legislature solves the impasse with the host fees, because they're going to open that up, and the Sands obviously is concerned that if they bring in games of chance at the fire halls, that they internet gambling, there's a whole raft of things that they're concerned about that's could negatively affect their income. So that's a driver on whether they take and build a convention center here or anything else. I mean, they are expanding their slots and their gambling. They're going in for some sort of electronic gambling that is also more considered on slots. But anyway, I'm watching this like a hawk, because that, I told the governor not to name drop, because I talk to him all the time. But I was at a meeting with him, and I told him, you have to be very careful you don't kill the golden goose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think one of the issues that, and I'm looking at this saying the Sands paid, what was it, $100 million for the license to be where they are.
Right.
And then they start diluting the value of that license with online gaming and allowing other things to come in behind them. That really, they should be getting a rebate on their original license if they're going to start chipping away at the value of that.
Right.
And that's the way they're looking at it,
Yeah.
I'm sure. And that's probably going to have an impact on what they do in the long run.
Mm-hmm. I have another thing in regards to budgets, and you probably don't have this, and I actually had probably heard this number, but maybe this is just venting my frustration with Allentown and the NIS and their new hotels that aren't collecting tax to go to tourism, but they can put that money to repair a boiler or things that they want to do for maintenance. Do you have a feeling for what that dollar amount is?
For us, the dollar amount is about $100,000.
Okay.
A little over $100,000
Per year.
depending on the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we do still get some because of the Holiday Inn that's there. We will get a certain percentage of the year until they reach a certain dollar amount because they were there before the NIS.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I got that. That's I was probably. Because the NIS, is there an end for those hotels that were built after the NIS was in place that basically were built with the promise of the NIS?
The NIS has a 30-year life.
Okay.
So,
that's a long time.
And
yeah.
it started, I'm trying to remember what year it started, 2010 or 11? No, 11 or 12, excuse me. I think it was 12. So,
Sounds all right.
2062. I think we'll all come back and have a reunion.
Yeah.
That's
That's all.
Bob, you're not in?
If I may, one question. Do you know how many hotels are grandfathered in prior to this? Do you have any idea of what was?
The only thing that is in the NIS footprint is the Holiday Inn.
Yeah.
That's it?
That was there before. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Thanks for having
it.
us.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. Next on the agenda then is
Yes, I'd like to introduce Amy Hollander, who's the president and CEO of the National Museum of Industrial History.
I do not have a PowerPoint. I have handheld documents. I hope that's okay. So they're set up and then you can just pass one. It's always free for you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So can you hear me on this?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, get into the mic.
I'll lean in. So the main reason I'm here today actually is to thank you. We received money from the Hotel Tax Fund to put the pavers in on our front plaza, and I probably would have been in much sooner to thank you, but it's been a bit hectic getting the museum open and getting all our programs up and running, and getting all of our plans in place for the year. But we've been really excited, and so the first thing I want to share with you is that over 8,000 people have walked on those pavers, and it really provides an amazing, welcoming area for the museum. When you first come in, you have the big pinion gears, you have our I-beam bench that has our name on it, and then these beautiful pavers, which is a big open space. And not only are we using it, but the Historic Bethlehem tours, when they go through, they always take their group right in the middle of the plaza, and they do their last piece of their talk there. And I'm always seeing people come through from 3rd Street down to the Steel Stack. So it's really an amazing space for our visitors to use. So I want to thank you all for that. But I also wanted to give you an update. I came in to the council meeting way back at the beginning before we opened, and I thought you'd want to know how we were doing. So this is just a little bit of an overview from the museum. So we had our launch August 2nd. Our marketing effort was very successful, and the Associated Press picked up our press release. And so that launch was in over 9,000 papers across the country. And it was amazing, and we actually had the coverage in New Zealand. It just kept coming up. I'm going to give credit to that launch in particular to the fact that of our 8,000 visitors, that we've had visitors from all 50 states. So we were really excited when we started to do our metrics for the 6 months. And now, of course, the majority of them are coming from Pennsylvania. We have about 61% of our visitors coming from Pennsylvania. Another 14% from New York and New Jersey combined, and then 25% from states outside of that, the tri-state area. So it's been really amazing to see these people come through. A lot of them, we've done exit polls and surveys, and a lot of them say that they had some kind of connection to the steel. So their families worked at different plants across the country, and when they saw this and they were heading out east for some reason, they wanted to check out the museum. Currently, our demographics are mostly adults, 55%, and then kind of 50-50 between youth and students and seniors. We feel that that will change once we start getting our school groups in. One of the most exciting things to happen so far is that we have coordinated with the Bethlehem Area School District to bring in 1,000 fifth graders this spring. They're going to be coming in May. And we're already talking and have meetings with Allentown School District, Easton School District, and the Saucon Valley School District, as well as several charter schools. And so we've met with the top level there, the principals and the superintendents. One of the charter schools sent their entire staff to the museum to see what it is and how and who might be interested in using it. And our goal is to get around 15,000 school kids through a year. Right now, the 8,000 that have come through, the majority of those visitors are walk-in visitors. Our plan for the year is to have that be about a third of the draw, a third being school kids, and then another third being group tours. And we've had a lot of help in that area from Discover Lehigh Valley. They've been working with us and partnering with us to start getting the museum included in some of the group tours and packages that they're developing. Our marketing coordinator, Glenn Keller, went to one of the tour operator conventions with Discover Lehigh Valley, and so we think that we'll get a lot of groups that way. We're also reaching out to the senior centers, and that outreach has already booked us in March. I think we have a half dozen tours set up already. So it's been very exciting to see the people come in, very positive responses to the museum. We're partnering with all of our area nonprofits, so we're doing this new event with Arts Quest, the Music and Arts Festival in the spring. We have our Ed Center is going to be host to some of their bands. We're also partnering with Lehigh, LV Cops and Kids for the Spring on 4th program that they do in the parking lot. And those are just a couple of the things. We have our own regular programming as well. So one of them is our Meet the Experts program. That's the third Saturday of every month. And we bring in experts who talk with more depth on different subjects, sometimes related to what's in the museum and on display, but sometimes on other topics. This particular talk that is coming up is on drones. We had partnered with several people to do the drone footage for one of our interactive experiences. It's a propane hot air balloon experience, but you can't put a propane hot air balloon up over propane tanks or factories. So they do that with the drone, and then it creates the experience of taking a balloon ride over those things. And when we met with them, they were so excited about the museum, they wanted to do something, and so they're doing this next talk. It's on March 18th from 11 to 12. The other program that we're doing that's so exciting is the Young Readers Program, which is the first Saturday of the month. And we bring in, that's free to the area kids. They come in, we read a book on an innovator, an entrepreneur, and then we bring artifacts into the room that relate to that story. So the first one was on Elijah McCoy, the real McCoy. He created the self-lubricating oil cup for trains, and we told that story. And then we had all these different, the oil cups as it evolved, and the kids were really interested. We did one on firefighters. We're doing the next one, I think, is on Otis elevators, and the kids are loving it. It's been really an amazing experience. Our budget for the year is just over $1 million, and we're trying to diversify our fundraising to make sure that we can meet those needs. So we have individual, corporate, and foundation and government outreach. And our membership is growing. We met our year-end goal of 2016. We wanted 135 new members, and we had 160 by the end of the year. So that's going really well. And we're just excited to be part of the Lehigh Valley's offerings, and I think that we have a lot to bring to the table.
These kids' programs look like fun. Who is this Monica Cooling? What's her background? Or I see that she's doing so many of these. Who is
I'm sorry.
on? She's doing the Otis, the elevator one. She's doing.
I think the author. You mean? It's
a
series.
She's the writer.
She's
okay.
the writer. She's not the. The person who's doing the reading is Keitsa Behringer. She's my education coordinator.
Okay.
But we found
she's
a
the writer.
series,
Okay.
and so she's really interested in doing books on innovators. So I think we found several of her books that really
I'm
fit
not
the
familiar.
need.
Good. That's
Yeah.
good to know.
So I know that both Hayden and Margaret have come to visit the museum. So I will offer again. I hope you all have an opportunity to come to the museum, and maybe I could even do like an after-hours coffee and donuts kind of thing one night, if that's something you'd be interested in. So does
And I
anyone?
think this drones is so interesting.
Yeah, I was there
It's-
when they did the shoot. It was fascinating how these things work. They can just hover. They don't like. I think of things that fly, but they will just hover and they'll sit in one spot. And they can get them to do high, low, different angles. It was amazing to watch the gentleman work with it. We won't be flying them, though.
It's been a whole new thing with the, with the FFA and all that. But FAA, and pretty soon our packages are going to be delivered that way.
I heard, yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. And you're right there, so appreciate you being on top of it.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Cusick.
Just one quick point. First of all, thank you for coming, and
Absolutely.
I think your leadership and enthusiasm is terrific. But I do want to take us back to there were some issues when the museum was first conceived regarding your finances. Have you resolved those, and at some point, will you be able to provide audited financial statements?
Oh, well, we have always had the audited financial statements available. We're actually doing our audit right now for this year, but last year's audit is available for people to review. We've met all of the consent decree requirements, and everything has, as far as we have been asked to do, we've done everything and have met all the requirements that have been asked for. So, and have the stamp of approval from the Attorney General's office.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Phillips.
And you probably noticed, but they came very close to that organization being taken over by the state and dissolved, and they were given a deadline to have it up and running by what date?
Actually, it was by, I think, December 31st, 2016.
Yeah, and you made that.
Oh, yeah.
And when I come to visit, and by the way, take her up on the offer to visit her.
awesome.
It's very cool. And you're right, John. Tremendous enthusiasm. And I love what you said when you came in, is that you can see the pavers that we paid for. Because I was a big skeptic of your organization before. I mean, huge. It drove me nuts. But knowing that we paid the money and I could go down and see the pavers in the front of your building where the kids are walking on, or everybody walking on coming in, I love it.
Yeah,
So.
and we dedicated it. There's a little paver with the name, thanking you for the funds, so that's there too now.
Yeah, good, thank you. Yeah, it wasn't, when I would visit you, the pavers, you were just excavating or getting ready for it. I don't
Yeah.
think they were there yet.
But it really, I mean, honestly, it's a beautiful space. Probably so beautiful. The only downside is that we had a lot of skateboarders and
Oh, yeah.
bicyclists who really wanted to try their skill set on riding on some of the artifacts that are in the front. But they're actually really sweet guys, and we chatted with them, and now they're kind of keeping an eye out on it for us. Yeah.
You're doing a superb job. Hayden's one of your biggest fans. I left your belief feeling about the National Museum.
I am. It was very cool. I loved it.
I laughed when you said New Zealand, and I don't want you to think that there was a reason. New Zealand is 22 hours away by plane.
Mm-hmm.
It's an island.
Mm-hmm.
And you had people from New Zealand?
No, well, no. We didn't necessarily have people from New Zealand, though we have to have people from outside the country. But they picked up the article in New Zealand.
Oh.
They thought it was interesting enough to put in their paper, which I mean, because it's an island.
I'll bring the donuts.
22, yeah.
I would bring the donuts. If New Zealand people showed up, I would buy the donuts.
I will let you know if we get anybody from New Zealand. But we've had people from England. We've had people from some of the Scandinavian countries. So we've actually had people from outside the country as well come through. It's just harder to tabulate the weight because we do everything by zip code.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Great job.
Okay. Thank you so much. And seriously, please come out. Let me know. I'll give you a personal tour.
Thank you. Okay, continuing then with the agenda.
Item number 4.
Okay.
State your name.
My name is Tim Hurlinger. And if you don't know me, I'm the Director of Community and Economic Development, and it's your fault because you approved me. Thank you for your time and your attention. We really appreciate it. We're going to try and be very quick if we can. Item number 4 is a discussion regarding the authorization that we've requested for the 2 COGs, the Slate Belt COG and the Nazareth COG, the Councils of Government, which are both working with DCED and the Planning Commission to develop comprehensive plans. And there's a state Community and Economic Development Department grant, municipal action grant, municipal assistance grant, and we are applying for that. And you were generous enough to give us $150,000 in the budget. And in November, when we asked for that, we explained to you that the purpose of that was to provide kind of a per municipality amount as a match for the grant that we're going after. And this is all we're asking is for the authorization to go ahead and do that which we had planned to do, and permit us to match the grant application that's going in, excuse me, for both the COGs. And one is the Slate Belt, one is the Nazareth. And there's 9 or 10 in the Nazareth, and I'm pretty sure all 10 are in the Slate Belt at this point. So each municipality will get up to $6,250 of support, and that matches whatever the DCED grant would be providing. Sir.
The Borough of Nazareth didn't want to participate in something, and I can't remember what it was. Is this what they were blocking at?
There was a discussion about this, and they had sent a letter, but Becky Bradley is still in conversation with them, which is why I said that the Nazareth COG may have 9 or 10, depending on how the outcome of that comes. But that won't change the amount of money that we're providing per municipality. And we had originally planned for perhaps 9, perhaps 10, and consequently we gave a range from $56,250 to $62,500, and that would cover that change in that. So if they don't participate, then they wouldn't get compensated for it.
That's good. And then there's the new Alan Jennings organization in the Slate Belt.
Slate Belt Rising?
Yeah. How does that fit into that?
That's not really part of this process, but they're going to have voice in the Slate Belt COG.
Because I forget the guy who's named the director.
Stephen.
Yeah, Stephen.
He's from Senator Scavella's
Right.
office.
That's what last time we saw him. He was up there.
One of the components of that plan is regional cooperation. So they will play an integral role in the multi-municipal comprehensive plan, and probably one of the organizations that will be tasked with carrying out certain things that come out of the plan.
Yeah. There's obviously in Slate Belt really concern that there is a plan that comes together.
And it's been very exciting that they've been participating
Yeah.
and coming to the meetings, and there's a level of enthusiasm that they haven't seen before, and that's really good. That bodes well for the plan to come through nicely. So we're just asking permission to go ahead and do what we told you we were going to do in November, but we wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to say aye when the actual expenditure came, and that's what this time is.
Oh, I just want to make one statement is,
And they're broken into two parts for
Yes,
tonight's
one is
agenda.
Nazareth and one is Slate
and then
Belt.
Slate Belt. And if my memory serves me, I think Nazareth several years ago, they did a comprehensive plan.
Yeah, they're actually a little ahead of the game from
Right,
Slate Belt.
because,
And
they have
Becky
something-
said that, but the process they have to go through is similar, and
yeah.
if the grant comes from DCED, then it'll go nice and smoothly. And
Perfect.
I think it will. It's looking pretty good.
Good.
just getting involved in the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, which I have like in the last 2 years, it's sort of, you see, this all comes together.
Yep.
It's not like in isolation like you see it here. It's, you know, you get a good feel for what's going on.
Yeah, it's a very dynamic process, and it's very exciting. I mean, we're talking nearly 20 municipalities out of the 36 of the county working together. And I've had conversations with Saucon Valley Partnership, and they've spoken to the Planning Commission about possibly following this process as well. Now, they had done one not too long ago, too, so theirs would be an update. So they're further along, but that's not part of this request.
Is there a concern for some of them not having the ability to do the necessary work to get to that point?
I have not heard that concern, no.
Okay.
No,
'Cause
and
I
I've
know-
been talking directly with Becky Bradley at the Planning Commission, and we've been to just about every meeting that they've had, and I have not heard that concern that they wouldn't be able to do it.
Okay. COG meetings are filled.
Yeah.
But I always wondered if there's, we always talk about it looks good, and then we find out something was.
No one has voiced that to me either internally or from the COGs or from the county COG, which the DCED runs now, and from LVPC. No one has voiced any concerns whatsoever like that.
And LVPC provides support. So I mean, that's a great question. My take is that between, you know, LVPC, the COGs, the local municipalities, and our county team, they got the resource. Now, I'm not an expert on this, but that's but I've been into it, and it seems to me that's what I'm observing.
There's no ego involved in this.
No. It's
Sometimes that just
it's
stops the
it's
process.
collaboration and cooperation at this point, and it's very, very impressive. I was up in the Slate Belt for probably 30 years, and I've seen exactly the opposite up there. Yeah, thank you. But I've seen exactly the opposite up in that area, and this is very impressive. These folks really have committed themselves to, and they get it. They understand that if you're not at the table, things are going to come through anyway. So you may as well have a voice, and they're willing to do the work. So it's very impressive. So I recommend that that you permit us to move the resolution forward.
Perfect. And next, the collaboration agreement, Northampton County, Bethlehem, and Easton.
Yes, and this is for the HUD Affirmative Assessment of Fair Housing. Frank has a quick presentation. Frank, quick.
Okay.
Good evening, council members. DCED is seeking approval with this resolution to form a regional collaboration that includes the City of Bethlehem, the City of Easton, the Bethlehem Housing Authority, the Housing Authority of the City of Easton, and the Northampton County Housing Authority, in order to satisfy and lower the cost of complying with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, that's our HUD folks, mandates that the county participate in a regional collaboration to undertake an assessment of fair housing. This mandated activity will be completed by the deadline of January 4th, 2019. The County of Northampton is going to serve as a lead entity of the collaboration. They're going to be responsible for submitting the regional assessment of fair housing on behalf of the collaboration participants. The requirements of this assessment of fair housing include data gathering and public information. Thank you.
I have some questions.
Go ahead.
That's that resolution to permit us to become part of that operation. Yes, sir.
Yeah, is there any cost associated with this, or is it?
There is a cost, but it's a shared cost throughout. It's a mandated activity, and therefore HUD pays for some of it and a large portion of it. They'll pay for it all. Yeah, they'll pay for it all. I didn't want to say that without my backup here.
Because I know that we actually just approved a new HUD director today.
Yeah.
So
Yes, we did.
I don't know if this will still be mandated, in a year or not. But we don't know. I
Anything
guess.
is, we don't know anything, and not knowing anything, we have to go on what we do know. And what we do know is that we've been working with these folks for about a year now, and we have gotten consensus amongst our partners that this is a good way to go. We've thrown that down to HUD, and they've come back and said, that's great. If you want to do it, go for it. They prefer collaborations, and so this actually makes it easier for us to work this process through because HUD is happier about it. If they do change something down the road, certainly we can come back and let you know right away. But our expectation is at this point we don't know anything new, and therefore we have to go on the data that we have and the requirements that we have. So we respectfully request being able to move this resolution forward.
Any objections? Okay, and next.
Okay, and this is
lead.
Regarding the lead hazard control. Frank, again, our presentation.
Good evening again, council members. With this resolution, DCED is seeking approval to submit a competitive application for $2.5 million over a 3-year period in response to a funding availability notice issued from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's lead-based paint hazard control grant program. Application, you got a tight time frame on this one, is due on March 23rd.
Oof.
As part of the department's review and updating of the county's affordable housing programs it administrates, DCED will enter into a partnership between Northampton County, the City of Easton, and the City of Bethlehem to build on and complement each partner's existing lead-based hazard removal efforts in their housing rehabilitation program. Both the county, City of Bethlehem, and the City of Easton all have lead-based paint removal hazard programs already in existence. So we have a very good track record with this. Up to 40% of county funds expended on affordable housing improvements in recent years through our grantee, the Lehigh Valley Community Trust, was spent on lead remediation, or roughly $8,000 out of every $20,000 that we spend on a project. This remediation, the lead remediation, must take place first before other housing issues can be addressed. So all three partners have identified a lack of funding to address lead-based paint remediation and owner-occupied rehabilitation activities. We believe that federal funds used to remediate these lead issues in each household will free up thousands of dollars of county dollars that can be directed to support more homes, raising the quality of the affordable housing stock in the county, opening these homes to weatherization and other programs which they were not previously eligible for, protecting more families, especially children ages 1 to 6 from lead exposure. The county is proposing to act as a program manager of the federal grant. 10% of the grant can be used towards case management, administrative costs of the partners. Another reason that this application is worthy of support is that childhood lead poisoning remains a major preventable environmental health problem. Lead is a highly toxic metal, very poisonous to humans, especially young children under the age of 6, the most at-risk population. Lead poisoning usually occurs over a period of months or years and can cause severe mental and physical impairments to those affected. This federal grant, if awarded to our coalition, will assist the partners in addressing the lead paint hazard concerns, especially with the high number of pre-1940 housing that currently exists throughout Northampton County in rural and urban areas alike. Thank you for your consideration.
So you're looking to do a grant for $2.5 million.
Wow.
That is awesome for Northampton.
Partners will be able to. That's over 3 years.
3
years.
years.
We'll be able to separate it out, and the idea is that if we're spending almost 40% in our affordable housing activities just for lead remediation, and we can can get the federal government to pay that 40%, that gives us 40% more dollars that we can use to raise the affordable housing stock in the
Buy a
county
furnace.
and to help other people with their emergency needs, critical needs of housing. So.
Okay, Mr. Vaughn.
Thank you. You want to participate in a grant. Is there any cost associated with underwriting for this grant, like the application or anything?
No?
Okay.
There's no cost whatsoever. It's a HUD grant.
Okay. And the next thing, I've purchased homes in Bethlehem. I'm not actually sure I understand what the lead remediation program is in Bethlehem. Can you guys elaborate on that a little bit, and where these funds would go?
When we go in and do affordable housing, one of the things they have to test for is whether or not that there is exposed lead, windowsills, chip paint, that sort of thing, dust in the air, that sort of thing. And if they find it, it has to be dealt with first, and it's expensive to deal with. And so when we were talking with the Land Trust, one of the things that stood out was the fact that if they go into improve a housing area where someone just needs some help, and we can help fix it and raise that housing situation. If we find lead, it shuts down everything else, and you have to deal with the lead, and it can be up to 40% of the cost of renovation. So we do we're capped at $20,000 on an individual home, which means that about $8,000 or $9,000 of that off the top is just remediating the lead, pulling the lead out, covering it over, doing whatever is required to do that to keep the lead from affecting the people in that home. And that's got to be done first. And then it sucks that money right off the top of our affordable housing trust fund investment in helping support affordable housing. So in the cities as well as in the rural areas, it's the same process. You have to deal with that first. So we figure if we can get the feds to do that and cover that cost, then we can really focus more on what that trust fund is supposed to do, which is to help raise the affordable housing stock and make people healthier and have better living conditions.
Oh, I'm sure. It sounds well and good. I just don't know who the recipients are for these funds.
A lot of Mark, you have
for the city of Bethlehem, you need to apply through their program. So, like as a private homeowner, you're not required to remediate lead unless there's a case of lead poisoning with
So these
a
are
kid.
Section 8 houses, is what you're saying?
No.
No, okay.
No. So the way the county's program works, we have an owner-occupied housing rehab program. Applicants throughout the county apply. They have to meet income qualifications, and then we go out and do rehab work in their house. So it's typically an application-based
This is through
process.
the county's
This is
EDC
through the
program.
county. The city of Bethlehem, I'm not sure how their programs run, but it's income qualified. You usually have to apply, and
these are grants.
Yeah, actually no. The county's program is part forgivable loan, and then we maintain a lien for a certain portion depending on how long they live in the property. So, like if they move out within 5 years, they would have to repay, I think 50% of it back. Whereas if they stay for 10 or 15 years, they would only have to repay 20%. It's kind of a sliding scale.
Okay, very good. Any other questions about? I think you're very forward-thinking and
Thank you. Well, we
going for
respectfully
this.
request
That's
that we move the resolution forward to the county.
Absolutely. Any objections? No. We'll move it forward to the agenda this evening.
Thank you. Just some, very quickly, some other departmental information. Gotta get my glasses back on. The 2017 departmental action plan is under review by the county executive right now. We hope to be able to share that with you at the next DCED meeting. We are working on social media and Facebook and our website because one of the things that you heard tonight are hits and clicks, and that's one of the ways you can measure if your interactions are effective on media. And so we're working to develop that. We basically had to add a lot of new things to the website, take some old things off, and we're in the process of doing that. One of the benefits of hiring our new executive secretary is that she has skills in that area, so it's working well for us. We did an information workshop with Livable Landscapes on Monday, and it was very well attended. We had 45 to 50 people there, many of whom were municipal managers, and so we went through our grant programs, and there were other programs from Lehigh Valley Greenways, PADCNR was there, and we had a question and panel discussion on funding competitive and successful projects. So we really got the message out well. Now, Karen has a quick note on the hotel tax. Zoom.
For the hotel tax program, I just wanted to advise you that our grant agreements are out and being signed. We only have 5 left that need to come back into the office. And the distribution should, for first quarter, for those grantees should be distributed in late March. D&L, they had applied $26,000 application for a canal festival. They received $5,000 reward. They have declined that award. They were given the option to approach council independently and ask for additional funds. They were also given the opportunity to use those funds for another project, and they have declined both those options to my knowledge. I also wanted to update you on gaming. We received our 4th quarter distribution from the state for the gross terminal revenue. It came in at 79% of our projected dollar amount, unfortunately. So what we have done is the 4th quarter checks have gone out to municipalities who have received grant awards. Those checks were prorated by 6.23% to fit into our budget. As of now, our balance in our restricted account is $52.14. And the Gaming Authority will not be moving forward with any restricted round. We are waiting to see what will happen. To my knowledge, Senator Brown is leading the charge, and there's a decision hopefully to be made before the Memorial Day holiday. The deadline is actually May 26th.
Any questions?
Okay. So for the gaming, what prompted this is, as I name dropping the governor all the time, when I was at that meeting, and Lisa Boscola said that among the changes that have probably come up with when they're straightening out the host fee problem, is that the funds that have been distributed, let's say from our slot gaming commission, will probably go into the CFA. And we went up, Matt Dietz and I and him and his staff, and talked to Mario about that. And Mario is in charge of the Gaming and Economic Development Subcommittee in the Senate. And I know what you said about Pat Brown, which is true, but I think the ball really rests with Mario Scavello in the Senate. And he was saying that there is talk that that maybe the resolution would be that the money that currently goes to our gaming would not go in that way. They would go into the CFA and then be allocated via the state reps and the senators and things of that nature.
That is so sad.
Well,
That is.
I did want to add the reduction was not due to the legislation that's currently pending. It was due to the promotional item question that had come up earlier in 2016, where casinos were asking that their promotions be deducted from the gross terminal revenue, the taxes that they submit. So that's why it was reduced, and according to the state here, it says to cover pending promotional item refunds to the casinos.
So Karen, you're not having any more gaming commission meetings to look at any further allocations because of the lack of the money coming in. Is that correct?
That's correct. We cannot really project a budget. Our fund, Our grant awards are based on a projected budget,
Sure.
and we can't project a budget at this time.
Mhm.
Now, as far as the gaming meeting, should we have items for the agenda that come up, then we would hold a meeting,
Mhm.
regardless if we receive funds.
Okay.
We have no items. We have the audit, but we only have one item for the agenda.
Is that, Mr. Finnegan and the people on that board, are they aware of this discussion in regards to how the money perhaps will be allocated in the future? Has that ever come up?
Yes,
It
it was
has.
discussed at our last meeting, and I do send out, as we go through, for instance, the prorated fourth quarter checks, they received a, FYI, in case anybody reaches out to you, the municipalities' fourth quarter checks have been reduced and prorated according to the funds we received.
Hey, anything else? Any other questions?
Not on this issue. Matt, go ahead.
What Hayden said there about the funds going back to the senators and state reps, but it will actually be staying in the counties from which the casinos are in. So, the Sands Casino money would go back to, Marcia, Mario, Lisa, to go back into the county. It wouldn't get spread out to counties that do not have the casinos, which was a main concern that we had. It would go back into a central spot and just be distributed throughout all counties, whether they're affected by casinos or not. So it'll be a little bit different process, but the money comes back to the county.
Yeah. Well, what Matt is saying is, and this is very fluid, but this is just in the discussion, is that perhaps half of the monies that are allocated now for the gaming would be split between the state senators, Bascola and Scavello. And then the rest, the other half, would be for the state representatives to distribute. And if that scenario played out, then, of course, then we wouldn't have our gaming commission anymore.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, I did also want to...
So then all the power's in the hands of, it's like walking around money. I'm sorry, it's like walking around money.
There is still work that is being done by the authority. We currently have 36 open applications, and I've been monitoring. We're conducting 15 monitoring visits in the months of February and March.
Yeah.
So the work continues.
And I state that because that's what Mary was talking about, that may happen. And it may happen. I mean, he gave us what is a possibility if it went to the CFA. Just to give you this perspective, is you talked about Pat Brown. And what Pat Brown's solution would be, which I actually would like them to adopt, is have it as a flat $10 million for everybody, but then give tax breaks to the smaller casinos like Mount Airy, and that would make them whole. It would lessen the burden on it for them. There's some, is that constitutional? I don't know. I'm not a constitutional lawyer. But what I liked about it was that fixed the thing that was broken.
Mm-hmm.
Now the other people are looking at it, this thing is broken, let's tear it all apart and put it back together again. I like the idea of just fixing the part that's broken, which Pat Brown's, to his credit, the Pat Brown's idea would do. So.
Okay, thank you.
Real quick, wanted to update you on some questions that you had last month. There was a question about the Schrin TIF and some payments. So there's an agreement that when land is sold, they will pay the county 1.5% of the net sale price up to a total of $2 million. As I've dug into this a little more, it's become a little more complicated. But I've asked the Industrial Development Authority, who manages the overall TIF, they're preparing a summary report that will be available, I expect, next month, and that will help me understand what's been going on. So I'm hoping to have more information for you next month. I just wanted to make sure that you knew we were looking into it, but it's definitely more complicated than I thought it was going to be, and still trying to understand it. Councilman Vaughn, you had asked about Norak Bakery.
Yeah.
It is under construction, and they are anticipating the construction phase to end in June.
Great. I've been looking for the products in the supermarket. They're pretty good, the samples we got. Remember those, Peg?
The what?
The sample?
I think you have to go to Whole Foods to get them.
Whole Foods? Okay.
Yeah, they're in Whole Foods. And I wanted to update you, the Bethlehem LERTA. The city of Bethlehem did pass a LERTA ordinance, but the school district kicked it back to them. They're disagreeing about the boundaries. So the last update I received was that the city was kind of reevaluating the boundaries, and then it'll go back to the school district, and then it would come here. So it's probably a couple months away from being ready to be presented here. And then finally, I just wanted to give you a quick update. We closed on our first loan through the gaming revolving loan funds that we put into the GPA for Fiddleback Brewery, or it's a brew pub in Nazareth. It was a $50,000 loan, and we're looking to create 9 jobs there with that. So that's all.
Where is that going to be located again?
It's going to be right across the street from the Center for the Arts.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
that's right. Okay, in the old Kaler's building. Okay.
In that building.
Are you working on Simone Silk?
We are aware of that. We've been in touch with them. I don't know that they need financing or assistance from us, but it's excellent beer.
I had a question on your move to the Human Services Building. Is that imminent, or?
I'm going
I
to
saw
defer
some-
to the Director of Administration.
Uh-oh.
Yes, we're back and forth. There was kind of a small holdup. We wanted to, make sure everything was correctly done. We had Mr. Hurlinger come over to redo the plans. We're back and forth with them right now in negotiations about costs. And yes, it is imminent, and hopefully we're looking at July, August at this point. So.
I'm just always curious about how much of that Human Services building is going to be taken over. How much are they losing when they thought they had the whole
Allison's-
building?
Again, Allison is much, she's involved in every step of this.
Right.
She's quite happy with what's going on. She has no problems with it, and it's very minimal part of it. It's the back corner in the left-hand side. So it's really not any of the large conference rooms or anything that's well used. They still have all their visitation rooms, all their interview rooms. The majority, I think we took 2 at the end of the hall, so there's no problems with it. And there's not going to be hardly any of the decrease in reimbursements that we get for it, too. So it's all, again, we checked everything beforehand before we started any kind of even plans and anything like that. So, okay. But yes, it is imminent, indeed.
Mr. Kusick?
I had a separate question. Last month at the Open Space Committee meeting, the issue of the Bethlehem Skate Park came up and additional phases. Have you been able to reach out to either Tim, probably?
I have not. Have you talked to him?
Okay.
No, we have.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, it came up at the Open Space Committee and Parks last month, and I just requested if you could maybe reach out to the city and ask what additional phases are left for the skate park, and
We'll do that.
what are the costs,
We'll report
and
to you.
is there an opportunity for the county and the city to potentially
Sure.
partner?
We should be able to get a report to everybody next week. Then after that, we'll contact them on Monday and get that information for you.
Okay, yeah,
We have
because
not
was it
yet.
Darlene Heller that was here? I think it came up as
If it was
part of
the
the
Open Space
green.
Committee?
It was Darlene, yes.
Yeah, it came up as part of the Greenway discussion.
We'll
and-
contact her. Yeah.
Yeah, so if
I
you could
talked
just.
to her yesterday. As a matter of fact.
Yeah, just
Something else.
if we could find out what the additional phases are and if they have estimated costs, and if there's any opportunity for
We'll
a
get a report
partnership.
to the council.
That'd be great, thank you.
And in addition to that, you directed an inquiry about the Department of Agriculture's rural development plan and having a meeting. We're going to set a meeting up. We'll invite council members and our Penn State Extension folks who are working with me on the Ag Connect process. So we'll set that up and we'll make sure everybody gets communicated to about when that's happening. Right. Madam Chair, that's all I had.
Okay, is there anything else? Motion to adjourn? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Matt, are you going to call back?
Where we came from.
Yeah, I'll call back.
Executive summary. Show my notes.
Hey, you got it first.
Yeah, I know.